Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. This podcast is dedicated to EAS employees of the U.S. Postal Service and members of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee and join us for today's episode. And now, here's your host, Robert Wakefield.
Good morning, Branch 32, and good morning to our EAS friends across the country. Welcome to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. I'm your host, Robert Wakefield, president of Branch 32. That's right. Please stand up. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening today, and it's now time to pour that first cup. This March 29th, join us in celebrating a century of trust and a century of service. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union is hosting its 100th annual meeting celebration at the luxurious Sonesta Hotel from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mark your calendars for a night of history, festivities, and fun. For more details and updates, like and follow our Facebook page and be a part of this monumental milestone. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, people helping people since 1925. And for the first cup today, I want to continue our discussion with Mr. Temporary Involuntary Reassignment himself, Brian Wagner. Brian, how are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I think I'm having my first pot of the day, but that's good. First cup to me, a pot is a cup to me. So
well,
I guess,
yeah. Your cups are much bigger than my
That was
cups.
the thing, Robert, trying to define what involuntary reassignment is, also trying to define what's my cup of coffee versus somebody else's. So it could be a pot.
Great point. Well, so we've been talking about temporary involuntary reassignments over the last two podcasts. And today we wanted to get into some of the nitty-gritties of the four things that, the guidelines that they should follow. But first of all, I want to make mention that this letter that we are referring to is on the NAPS website. And tell them where it's located, Brian.
Well, it's under the NAPS website at naps.org under the Forms and Documents section, down in the what they call General USPS Information and Policies for EAS.
Gotcha.
And it's a PDF. It's a temporary involuntary reassignments letter from COO Williams dated 8/31/2015. It's a link. You click on it and it's a PDF. So this is the documentation members should use whenever what we talked about in the last podcast is filing a grievance or filing a protest to document why they are protesting or grieving the involuntary reassignment.
Yeah, so this letter is available there on the website, so be sure I would encourage all NAPS members to download it and save it on your computer file somewhere so that you'll always have it, because temporary involuntary reassignments is a real thing. And it's been going on, I've discovered since 1999. So I didn't know that. I tell you what. So let's talk about the first one. And that's talking about management determines the purpose of the reassignment. So take it from there, Brian.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the guidelines that was brought up, that management must have a focus on their intended purpose for when they're making an assignment, reassignment in the case. And they really have to inform the impacted EAS employee of the nature of the assignment, right? Why are we moving you? What's the operational need? Maybe it's for training purposes. And it must include that rationale for the assignment and the intended objective and anticipated duration of the assignment. And that's one of the key things. It's like open-ended. We need to make sure that's documented.
Right.
And that's what's key. And this should be put in writing to the member.
I was going to ask you that. Should this be in writing?
Yes. This should be in writing. This isn't just going in. You should have a letter on why you're being reassigned. And here's the other thing, Robert, we probably haven't touched on, but if you're being involuntarily reassigned, it needs to be documented on a PS Form 1723.
Okay.
An assignment form.
Right.
Because why am I in a different office? Why am I in different hours? And if my tax clock rings are set, we hear about members having automatic clock rings. Mm-hmm. I could be working differently. Am I entitled to night differential because of the new assignment.
Correct.
And plus you want to make sure that it's documented that you are working over here for these particular purposes, and it's documented on a PS Form 1723.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because we have not talked about that yet. So management determines the purpose of the reassignment and then informs the effective employee for the reason of it. So what kind of reasons should they be giving us as far as involuntary reassignments?
Well, like we talked previously, anything that's an operational change.
Okay.
Could be that new highway contract routes are changing. Maybe they're starting employees, craft employees later and start operations, whether it's in customer service or in the plant. It could be maybe a new machine is coming in and it's going to change the whole makeup of how things are run. And I do know a lot of facilities in the plant are moving some of their outgoing operations to other places, and they have the S&DCs coming in now, and you've got new changes. So it could be any operational change, but it should be, if it's temporary, if it's going to be permanent, that's a whole new ballgame. You're moving people permanently. For temporary changes, it could be operational, and the other one is for training.
Okay.
I'm all for training. I do Zoom in the training. I do training on site. The thing is, we want our members trained. And If you're a supervisor of customer services, some people say, I'm a delivery supervisor. I'm a retail supervisor. We don't have those differentials anymore. You're a supervisor of customer services with responsibility for all that. So we want to make sure if it's for training purposes, it's reasonable.
Right. So we talked about they should, give us the purpose, the object. What is is the objective different than the purpose? Do you think?
Well, I don't think it's anything different. If you got a purpose or an objective, the objective and the purpose is you got to cover an operation with supervisory duties, right?
Right.
So for operational purposes, the objective is to make sure that maybe the objective that service doesn't fall down. We're not going short on a supervisor in a unit.
Exactly.
Maybe you need 4 in there and somebody's still gone. Right now there's 2, so you need to put someone over there. You can't really run with 2 when you really need 4, but you maybe have to get by with 3 and backfill it with tea time.
Gotcha. So the thing that I've noticed, Brian, in temporary involuntary reassignments is that they're open-ended, and that should not be according to this policy.
That is correct, Robert. That's why I highly encourage that you get a 1723 with an end date and a begin date on why, how long it's going to be for. And my rule of thumb, when I talk to members, time limit, 2 weeks, maybe 30 days. Sometimes it could be 90 days. Not really sure. Maybe there's but I review, I'm on for 6 months. If it's for training purposes, 2 weeks, 30 days, that's the other thing. What is really, what's realistic?
Right.
And the manager should be, if you need 6 months of training, that might be a problem. My thing is whether you're not getting the right coaching and mentoring you need. So again, you need to ask why, and that's one of the provisions is get feedback from the employee to discuss modifications to the assignment.
Right.
How long is it going to be? An open-ended should not be. And again, PS Form 1723 should be completed for any assignment you're on.
I got you. So that's where, and again, I just want to reiterate this for the membership that there should be an ending date, because if it's temporary, it's not permanent. That's a whole different ballgame, like you said. And we're seeing in our district, and I'm sure others as well, that a temporary reassignment becomes permanent, and they're never put back in their Form 50 job.
And I can tell you from talking to members, situations that's run up that I've had to, help give counsel to, is that 2 supervisors switched, one at the afternoons and one at the mornings. They volunteered. They were voluntarily reassigned. When a new postmaster came and realized that, Brian, you're the morning supervisor and your job is for the mornings, but you're working the afternoons. I'm moving you back. Yeah, but I don't want to move back. Here's what my job says it is. So those who voluntarily go, they could be moved back. And then those who voluntarily go and then decide after a while, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm going to go back to my job. Is that an involuntary reassignment when you're not put back when you request?
Exactly.
So
now,
there's some other challenges.
That brings up the question, and this is kind of off the subject in a way, but if a postmaster were to come in and they have one supervisor, and that supervisor is working the morning shift, let's just say, and then he decides that he wants to change the shift to an afternoon shift, can they do that?
Well, they can. Like I said, they can do. The manager can do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. It all depends if the NAPS member is going to protest it. And we've had situations like this where the postmaster wants to work the morning so they can leave by 2:00 in the afternoon, or maybe as a station manager, and then move the one supervisor to close out every night. Well, that wasn't the intent of the position when it was posted. And nothing has changed operationally. It's just a convenience for the postmaster or the manager to have a better maybe start time. They want to work mornings.
Right.
Now, if they want to try to look at operations temporarily, understandable.
Sure.
To come in and see and help maybe improve on some things maybe the supervisor was missing, and then the postmaster and manager can go back and coach and mentor that supervisor on how to improve on that morning operation. But to do it permanently, that's a permanent involuntary reassignment. And of course, the job posting would be different in the tax with the time. Mm-hmm. And so you get into a whole thing of the postmaster can do what they want or the manager can do what they want at the expense of the EAS. That's not dignity and respect, and that's outside. But again, if it's temporarily, it should be noted on why.
Right, exactly. All right, so we are about out of time. Can you believe it? So we've gotten the first of the 4 guidelines that's in the Dave Williams letter, and that's talking about management determines the purpose of the reassignment, informs the affected employee the reason for and the objective, and the anticipated duration of the assignment. Any other comments about this first one, Brian?
No, I think we're in pretty good shape. I appreciate the input because this says I give this training on involuntary reassignment, and there's so much other different scenarios that what is and what is not an involuntary reassignment. So it's good that the members understand this and they understand what their rights are for appealing it to.
Absolutely. So, Brian, you got to give us the new ice cream flavor of the day. Here we go.
Well, I hate to brag, but I do Zoom training, and I also do training in person, and I had an opportunity to do some travel to Hawaii to give training. Oh. So I will come back with one of my favorites, ooey gooey pineapple cake.
Oh.
I will tell you, I do go to the, I'm going up to the New England to do training. I go up to Green Bay. I do training all over, and I do it by Zoom. But when it's called for members, I'm here to serve. And right now, I served myself up 2 scoops of ooey gooey pineapple cake.
Fantastic. I'm so glad. Yes, we're going to Hawaii. We're all so very jealous. Thank you, Brian, so much for being on today's show again. Okay?
Thanks, Robert. Have a good day.
Right, thanks so much. For 100 years, the Nashville Post Office Credit Union has been turning dreams into reality. Since opening our doors in 1925, we've been your trusted financial partner. Our success stories are countless, thanks to our core value, people helping people. Here's to another century of integrity, compassion, and commitment to your financial well-being. The Nashville Post Office Credit Union, a tradition of people helping people since 1925. For the second cup, I wanted to mention that we have an exciting event coming up in Tennessee. It's the Tennessee State Convention. It's going to be taking place April 24th through the 26th. Be held at the Drury Inn Plaza Hotel, located in Franklin, Tennessee. We're really excited about everyone being there. Branch 32 is the host, so we invite you to come and be a part of that. Registration forms are available on our website, and that's napsbranch32.org, and look under the tab Important Documents. There's also going to be a golf tournament. If you like to play golf, we're going to have a golf little outing there. It's called the Bob Wakefield Invitational Desert Classic. Okay, well, that's what we've named it. I don't know if they'll go by that or not. It's what I've suggested. I think it's a great name. So, anyway, it's the Tennessee State Convention coming up April 24th through the 26th. We'd love to have you go to our website for more information. All right. Thanks so much for listening to today's Saturday Cup of Joe podcast presented by the Nashville Post Office Credit Union. You know the drill. Here it comes. Like, subscribe, share, all those things. Be sure to let me know where you're listening from by sending me your branch number and your name. It'd be great to hear from you. I'm Robert Wakefield, and remember, every great weekend starts with a great cup of Joe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Saturday Cup of Joe podcast. Please note that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Robert Wakefield and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Association of Postal Supervisors. We welcome your questions and comments, so send those to SaturdayCupofJoe@gmail.com.